it's morning and I'm about to start my daily walk. Yeah, the big news is that I finally got monetized, and the latest video about my layoff is pretty much taking off right now. And to be honest, I am kind of shocked. People have been so supportive, like more than I imagined, and you all literally restore my faith in humanity. A lot of us have gone through the same thing, or, unfortunately we're going through the same thing right now. There's sympathy from other people and support from other people. And of course, there were some comments that made me think, and in particular, there were comments about my parents. Like one person mentioned that it's not right that they pressured me and made me feel guilt or shame about getting laid off. And watching the video, it did sound like I was really hard on them. But I want to make it clear that they're not actively guilt tripping me or anything. Like I said, they don't know, like they still don't know, and I don't intend to tell them until I get a job or something positive happens. And so they don't have to worry about me. I have a really good sense of self-awareness, and I know why I feel this way. I basically psychoanalyzed myself for years. And if you're wondering, I do have a psych degree, by the way. There's this thing called introjection, where you sort of unconsciously take on, attitudes and beliefs from other people, and you treat them like your own. And basically, I took their stress and the sacrifice and used it as my motivation. The guilt isn't coming from them, for the most part, but it's mostly this thing inside my head where I kind of built a long time ago. And it started because, growing up, we were poor as and I don't know if they still do this. I'm sure they do. But back in my day, schools would run toy drives and stuff, collect them for poor families or whatever organization. And for my school, it turns out my family was one of those poor families. There was even a period of time where we lived in a homeless shelter for families. And this was in East Boston. It's actually pretty interesting from psychology standpoint, where when you're a kid, you don't know you're poor. You don't have any real experiences to compare it against. So I thought it was normal. And everyone around me lived the same way. I'd make friends in the shelter, and we'd all have our own one-room apartment in a shared kitchen or something. And that was normal. And I'm a child of immigrants. When they came here, they didn't really speak the language, obviously. So they basically had to become entrepreneurs, because who was going to hire them? So for a lot of my childhood, times were really hard, but I didn't know it was hard, and being the dumb kid that I was, I didn't know we were poor, literally, until the school principal showed up with a box of toys that my classmates donated to the poor families and gave it to my family. Once my family was essentially labeled as poor, that's when I became much more aware of the struggle and the sacrifices that my parents and my grandparents made for me and my siblings. In return, all they wanted was for my siblings and I to get good grades, and I thought that was a fair trade. Yeah, they're tiger parents, of course, and if you get A's, it's great, but B's stand for bad. So this kind of taught me a fixed mindset of sorts, which I'm clearly working through. And having a fixed mindset means that, I thought I was either smart or dumb. If I'm not succeeding, then I must be failing, right? And there's just no room for in between. There's no room for struggling. There's no room for learning from mistakes. So for me, being laid off, it felt like I got an F, and if you have tiger parents, you know what I'm talking about. I was just mostly internalizing the sacrifice, the long hours, their hard work, their loss of identity. And the least I can do is make them proud, and the worst is if they worry or they're ashamed of me. Yeah, so that's where the guilt come from. It's not them, for the most part. It's this internalization, this thing that I grew up with, and trying to understand the world around me, and to show gratitude for them as well. And yeah, so that's the story. I came here for a quick intro and some B-roll, and I'm once again using you for therapy, but let's just get on with our day. So I have a job interview at 3 today, which means that's the focus for today. But before I start prepping, I want to check LinkedIn for some job posts that I haven't already applied to. Now, I know some people might say I should apply to everything under the sun, but my approach isn't quantity, it is quality. I'm trying to apply to roles where I'm more likely to get an actual interview. And then once I get those interviews, that I'm more likely to pass. I'm also currently in 3 interview loops right now, and there are multiple rounds of interviews, and I don't really want to overload myself with too many interviews. I know what my limitations are, and I know that doing more has pretty severe diminishing returns. So I want to make sure that this is a reasonable amount that I could actually handle. Now, a really quick tip is that I use LinkedIn to sort by the last 24 hours for my keywords specifically, which is to shoot for the front end of software engineering roles. I did make a video about some tips on job searching, and if we're being honest, I basically made it for myself because I knew I would be in this position. Right now, the big thing is to prep for a job interview with a hiring manager. This is for a senior front-end role. I've already asked the recruiter what the topic of the interview is about, and he said it would be about half behavioral and half technical discussion based on my past work. I would recommend always ask the recruiter what the interview is about. Most of the times they don't really give you much, but sometimes you could get some more information than you were expecting. It's a little afternoon and it's time for lunch. So I do intermittent fasting, and lunch is usually a big meal, and I'll have a smaller meal for dinner. I get and make my protein in bulk, which is this guy right here. I tag along with my sister to go to Costco and get them in bulk and keep the cost low. So this particular batch is 50-50 of ground beef and turkey. I think it's leaner, it's cheaper, and it's pretty versatile. It's like lazy meal prepping. I usually make a big ingredient like ground meat and then freeze the rest for later. And then this thing can become spaghetti with meat sauce, which is what I'm making today. And it's really flexible because then you could make it into tacos or chili, or if you want to be fancy, make some grapao, which is a Thai dish. And that, I might make that tomorrow. So I do something similar with pre-cooking chicken breast or rotisserie chicken meat or something like that. And the protein part is usually already prepared, and it's just a matter of putting everything together. I like it because it's efficient and cheap, and it's a quick way to get your own home-cooked meal. Okay, I have my old laptop set up on a TV tray because I have my Mac Mini M4 doesn't have a webcam, so I need my laptop in order to do the interview. And this background here is the most inoffensive thing that I have. There's still that desk, but we're not going there right now. So it's going to be an hour-long interview, and I feel pretty good about the behavioral stuff. I'm going to spend some time now to review the technical concepts and stuff like that. I have some sticky notes over here, and maybe I'll show you, but those sticky notes are basically there to remind me of like big projects that I worked on in case they ask for examples and stuff, and they will. So for the technical stuff, it could basically be anything, and I'm just going to do a really quick, broad overview of the stuff that I was studying. And hopefully the questions asked would be something I actually studied. Okay, everything looks pretty good, and it's about 10 minutes until showtime. And what I'm going to do now is go to the bathroom, get some water, try to get my heart rate down a little bit, do some power poses or something, and then we are good to go. So I'll see you in a bit. Well, I'm probably not going to record it. I'm not gonna record it because it's gonna be too stressful, but I'll see you after it's done. Okay, so I don't know how I don't know how it went. The behavioral tell me about yourself was great. I was very personable. I thought we connected very well. I made some jokes. I got some laughs. I enjoyed hearing about him, the team, the company, and then we talked about the technical stuff. And as expected, we chatted about the projects that I did, and I focused very well on how it aligned with the work that they were doing and what they were looking for. And all of that was great. And it was about like 20 minutes left or something like that. Then he asked me a technical question. So I was an engineering manager for a few months. And one of the big things I did when in my role in my few months was I hired 2 engineers. And I probably did about, I want to say, 50 hiring manager interviews or something like that. It was a lot, maybe not 50, but it was a lot. And one of my favorite questions that I would ask them, that I stole from my boss, actually, my former boss, because we both no longer work there. Basically, this question that I stole from him was the very same question that this hiring manager asked me. And the question is, you can go into it as much or as little detail as you want, but what happens when you type in a URL, let's say youtube.com, onto a web browser and you press enter? So that was the question. And the whole point of the question is if you work in web development, which is this role, the expectation is that you should know how the web works. And then based on the answer, I would ask follow-up questions like about scale or security or something like that. And they'll become like a nice discussion, and it'll give me a good idea of their general understanding of how the web works and how it runs. So I forgot things. I forgot words. Of course, I looked it up afterwards, and I was trying to explain the TCP handshake, but I couldn't think of the acronyms. So I kept saying like, oh, the handshake. Yeah. And if it wasn't for that last part, I think I would have gotten a good shot at advancing, but now I'm not sure. So that was embarrassing. I'm gonna go now. Okay, so just to decompress from that ordeal, I'm now heading over to my sister's house to hang out with my nephews. They live about 15 minutes away, and to be honest, they're basically the reason why I stayed sane during the pandemic lockdown. I basically use them to recharge my batteries and just to, have fun and let things go. And it's kind of like with them, nothing really matters because I'm just a cool aunt, and I'm okay with that. All right, so let's get going. Okay, so the day's not over yet. I'm starting my second shift right now. Usually I'm interview prepping for obvious reasons, but I might also work on a side project, or I might be doing some YouTube stuff like right now. Or it could just be a combination of the above. The next interview is in 2 days, so I have a little bit of time. That's why I'm not, there's not a ton of urgency to continue interview prepping. But I want to dedicate a little bit of time to editing this video. And the reason why is because the layoff video I posted has like 127,000 views right now. That's just crazy. Like it's resonating with so many people, which, is incredible on one hand, but on the other hand, it just shows the sad state of the world with how many of us are in the same boat, and it sucks. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm trying to finish up the next video while filming this video. I'm also trying a few different things. We'll see how it goes. But if you like this video, feel free to like it. It's definitely a huge motivator to help me keep going. And that's it for today, so I'll talk to you another time. The birds are really loud. Like, I don't really live that close to the road, but oh, holy shit, it's really loud. And let's move over here. Where are you going? Where are you flying to? Yeah. Is someone gonna turn on a chainsaw soon? Like, is that what's gonna happen? Really? Like, they really keep coming. Where are they going? It's probably going to work.